Did you think last week's serial killer was just the worst? Well, hang on because you're about to meet another Colombian serial killer, Pedro Lopez. And as far as you can compare these things, he might be worse than Garavito. Some experts will tell you that he was certainly more prolific than even Garavito was. He and Garavito had a lot in common. Both were pedophiles. Garavito preferred boys, and Lopez preferred girls. Both were Colombian, both had difficult childhoods in different ways, and both would elude capture far too long. Lopez's father was murdered 6 months before he was born in 1948. His mother was a sex worker with 12 other children who all lived in a household filled with violence. His mother kicked him out at age 8 after she caught him attempting to molest one of his sisters. Lopez was a street kid in Bogota, and that meant he was frequently sexually abused. He joined a gang of other street kids looking for some protection. He was adopted for a short time, but after being sexually assaulted by a teacher, he just left. You can imagine how that would go. He ended up in prison by age 21 for auto theft, and he was raped by 3 other inmates. Those 3 would be his first murders, and for that he was sentenced to 2 additional years. He gets out of prison finally at about age 30, and things are not all right, not even close. He wandered all over Colombia, Peru, Ecuador. He claimed that while he was on his walkabout, he killed more than 100 girls, mainly street kids and kids from indigenous tribes. One tribe, the Peruvian Ayacuchoan tribe, caught him attempting to abduct a 9-year-old girl, and they nearly lynched him. But an American missionary would convince the tribe to turn Lopez over to police. The police didn't arrest him, but they did throw him out of the country. So he's ejected from Peru, and he keeps on killing in Colombia. Authorities put off the disappearances of so many young girls off to human trafficking. They're not even looking for a serial killer. And like Garavito, it would be the discovery of a number of remains that would alert police to the idea that a serial killer was at work. In Ecuador, in April 1980, flash floods hit the area surrounding Ambato. Flooding unearthed a number of young girls who had been reported missing. They reopened their investigation as homicides. Like Garavito, Lopez wasn't at all careful and likely wasn't even aware that police were on the hunt for a serial killer. He was actually a little ballsier than Garavito. Hervina Aveda was walking to the market with her 12-year-old daughter Marie. Lopez tried to abduct her near a crowded market with her mother in sight. Oh, such a bad decision. Local merchants took him down and held him while they waited for police. He managed to remain silent, as accused people should, for a little while. Eventually, though, he couldn't hold it all in. He started telling his cellmate all about his crimes. The problem for him was that cellmate was a police captain. He confessed to more than 200 murders in Ecuador, where he was in custody, tens in Peru, and many, many more in Colombia. If his confession is accurate, he killed roughly 350 young girls. He talked all about his modus operandi as well. He would lure the victims away from public spaces with some sort of trinket. He would rape and strangle them. He would then bury them. Sometimes he exhumed them to have tea parties with them. Yeah, I said that. He told Captain Cordova that he did it because he lost his innocence when he was 8, and so he wanted to be sure to do the same to as many girls as he could. He led police to only 52 of his victims. In Ecuador alone, his confirmed victim count was 110. He would be sentenced in Ecuador to 16 years because that was the maximum sentence in that country at that time. He was released in 1994, 2 years early. Ecuador didn't want him hanging around, though, so they deported him immediately on his release back to Colombia. In Colombia, he was declared insane and committed to a mental hospital, so he wasn't even put on trial for the many, many murders that he did there. Just a year later, he was declared sane, but he was released on bail. on condition that he report to authorities regularly, and he absconded immediately. He was last officially seen in September 1999 when he renewed his citizenship card. In 2002, Colombian National Police warrant issued for him, as well as an Interpol warrant for yet another murder. He's still a fugitive, and he would be 75 today. Based on his photographs, he probably has significant dental issues that have caused bone loss in his jaw. If he's alive, he probably is somewhere in Latin America still and has likely taken even more victims. If you're in the region and you see him, don't approach him. Contact authorities immediately. Given that most of his victims were girls from indigenous tribes, though, maybe, just maybe in some remote part of the Andes, he was caught and locals took care of the problem. Maybe a family member found him and went all vigilante. I would lose no sleep if the man was buried in a shallow grave somewhere, or accidentally on purpose shoved off a cliff or into a raging river. Or maybe he had an accident, or he opted out, knowing he would be hunted wherever he went. Sleeping well on that idea as well. There are a lot of dangerous animals in the Andes, Lopez being one of them. There are also poison dart frogs and jaguars, maybe a puma or a caiman. Just proof, the monster of the Andes taken by something that could fight back, a little karmic justice. Until next time. If you're enjoying these videos and want more, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any videos. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.